Recently, I had the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with my friend Jorden, a recording artist and worship leader from rural Wisconsin. We talked about a myriad of topics, from music to experience in church and ministry and everything in between. Stick around, there's some stuff I think you might like to hear.
Growing up, in a Christian household for the most part, you have obviously the early 2000s Christian rock bands and I don't know, just that whole scene. And for me growing up, I thought it was all corny. I wanted nothing to do with it. And then from that point on, I went to hip hop, which was Lecrae and Andy Mineo, which was super sick, honestly, when I first got put on. But then you have all the worldly secular stuff that I thought was way better. Instrumentally, didn't seem corny at all. And at any point in time I could vibe to it. So later on in my music journey, basically I started off in church ministry, playing in our worship bands. And then from there, I kind of went from indie rock bands to I played in a country band. And then from there was dang, I want to start, working for myself and putting out some music that I felt the Lord has given me. And when I revisited the Christian scene, it was still kind of corny. And I was like, okay, my motive now is going to be to make music that I want to hear, specifically in these scenes, and hopefully breathe some life into it. And that's kind of where I started, with mediocre demos, turning into working demos, turning into, a finished product.
Yeah, I definitely share that sentiment of I was only allowed to listen to Christian music for the longest time, and I had to find when I started getting into metal, I had to find Christian bands. I remember my dad pulled up my Pandora history one day, and he was like, "This cover looks satanic. What are you listening to?" It's dude, the band is called Demon Hunter. I think some of the alternative stuff, punk rock and metal, have some stuff in the Christian realm that's a little less corny, but other than that, it was like K-Love, Radio, CCM, and I hated that stuff, dude.
Shout out Chris Tomlin.
Yeah, for real. That was my first concert. Was a Chris Tomlin concert.
Yeah, dude.
I think I'm definitely in a place where, I started trying to pursue music from a secular perspective initially, because I was just Christian music is dumb and not a viable career option as a musician. But I think in the last few years, it's been really cool to see all of the Christian artists that have kind of stopped being so corny, and they're kind of embracing being able to be creative beyond the realm of what is going to get played on Christian radio.
Absolutely, bro. It's huge. I guess where I'm kind of at now is trying to gauge where the Christian indie scene is at right now. So I've been listening heavy to artists specifically in that scene. So right now I'm listening a ton to Koki. It's my homie. ISLY, Strings and Heart, and then Gable Price and Friends. I listen to them heavy. I listen to a lot of Colony House. I've been listening to Colony House for a while now.
Dude, they're so
I love Colony House. Yes, bro.
That was my wife's favorite band. We went to see them a couple times before.
Yeah,
I wasn't a fan of their Cannonballers album, but I really
Really?
The one right before it. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, the Cannonball, I think it's sick, dude.
Sonically, it's good, but there's a lot that musically just doesn't stick out for me.
Motorcycles, denim jeans, neon lights, Tennessee.
It's objectively good. It's just it's not my thing anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I've really liked Eshon Burgundy lately, if you're familiar with
Who the heck is that?
Dude, best Christian rapper alive. He's so good. Yes. He's got... So I was only familiar with one album called Lost Sheep of his. I don't remember when it came out, but it's really good. It's some of the instrumentals are almost Alchemist feeling. So that kind of drumless sample based feel, but then there's some of it that's a little more modern. I don't listen to Kendrick a ton, but it's kind of got the Kendrick feel with the drums. But he has, I think, 2 albums that he put out most recently that are just instrumentals. I think he produced with scripture meditations over them.
Dang.
And they're really, really cool. I started listening to like Reliant K when I was a kid, because that was
I never got into them.
Really?
How was that? Yeah.
They're good. They're like pop punk for Christians, and they kind of started leaning into like not like Midwest emo, but like that slightly darker, heavier emo sound, but it was still very much like pop punk. Dude, and then I kind of started getting into like metalcore. So it was like Forte Day and Phineas and Fit for a King, the emergence of good Christian underground art. But
I guess the underground scene, like, what does that even look like in the Christian scene? Like, I haven't even.
I'm not totally sure, because I'm just now starting to get tapped in with what's going on there. I think there's a lot of people with good intentions, but there's also a lot of people who don't understand the difference between just what they want to do and what I hate to say what the world sees, but like what is viewed as art worth consuming. I think there's still a lot of people who want to make good art and are Christians, but they use the lens of Christian music too forcefully, and that ends up making a lot of the music come off as corny. And they don't like, to summarize, I guess they don't really hone their craft before they start just making art. And because they're Christian, it comes off corny pretty easily.
Yeah. Wow. Who are some artists that you're seeing right now in that space?
Like who are doing it well or who are not? I'm not gonna like out people for not doing it well.
That's true, bro. I guess who are doing it well, who you see on the rise.
Yeah.
Without throwing anybody under the bus.
Yeah. Eshon Burgundy is one of the big ones.
That reminds me of what No Big Deal is doing right now.
Dude, I love what No Big Deal is doing right now.
He's killing it, bro. Yeah.
In the alternative space, like, there's a really good couple of hardcore bands out doing stuff right now. There's a band called Open Wound that put out an album this last year that's really good. There's a band called Meadows. They put out an album called Familiar with Pain that is, it's a concept album that covers Passion Week. So the first song starts out with like what Jesus would have been feeling coming into Jerusalem, knowing that there's 120 hours left before he is to die.
Wow.
And dude, beautiful. Musically, sonically, lyrically, it's just fantastic.
Bro, I feel like I'd be just a mess listening to that.
Yeah. Like I listen
conceptual albums like that put you in a completely different headspace, bro. And it's like you're there.
I knew they were a Christian band, but I didn't know that was the premise that they had written the album on until after I had already listened to it. So like kind of knowing the music and then going back with the knowledge of what it was about, just it hits home in a different way.
Yeah.
I have a homie named Chris who releases under the name OM53. Who's
sick. Yeah. I have mutuals with him for sure.
I've
LJ the Messenger and
honestly, I don't feel like there are a ton of artists doing the whole indie stuff. So, I mean, I've listened to Koki here and there. I remember seeing him pop up on my feed, and he was actually one of the people that made me go, "Oh, you can do Christian music in a way that's not just terrible to listen to."
For real, bro.
And it doesn't have to be like doesn't have to be like metal or hip hop, because I never knew that like there was other music that glorified God that was also good. Emma Nissen, if you know who that is.
Yes, bro. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Bro, she blows me away. Every single thing I listen from her is like, how do you do that? Like, the scatting and just like the instrumental. Oh my gosh, dude, it's crazy.
Yeah, her album that she put out this last year was gorgeous, like 10 out of 10. So good.
I haven't listened to the whole thing. I got to do that.
It's the one thing that I'm not a huge fan of, that I wish she did more of, is that it's a lot of gospel. Musically, it sounds like a gospel album more than it sounds like the jazz stuff that she posts on socials.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's really well written and recorded and produced and all of that. It's just cool that it seems like we're kind of in like a renaissance in a sort.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
With Christian art. If you've gotten this far, thanks so much for sticking around. If this content was entertaining, thought-provoking, or otherwise provided any sort of value to your life, please consider subscribing and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with when I post. I appreciate every single one of you. God bless.